Hey guys, welcome back to week 2 of the Navigator Lapghan project. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you are just joining in. This is a collaboration project that I am doing with the incredibly talented Bonnie Barker, and together we're creating a lap blanket dedicated to all US veterans, and I'm so honored to be a part of this meaningful project. Last week, I showed you how to make the single crochet cross stitch panel. Today, I'm gonna walk you through how to do the textured stitch panel. Meanwhile, Bonnie is releasing her second panel tutorial over on her channel. So remember that you'll need to follow both of our channels to complete this project. It's like a fun crochet scavenger hunt in a way. All right, let's jump right into the textured stitch panel. Just like with last week's panel, the goal here is to crochet a piece that measures 44 inches wide by 8 inches long. This stitch has a slightly different feel compared to the single crochet cross stitch. So don't be surprised if the number of stitches that you need changes. Remember, the key is not to meet the same stitch count, it's to meet dimension. So make sure you have that tape measure handy. It's going to help you out so much. Measure the width of your starting row and adjust it. Keep measuring, keep checking to make sure that you are staying on measurement. If your project starts to look a little too narrow, then you can add a few chains in your foundation row. If it's starting to look a little too wide, then you can remove a few chains in your foundation row. Just make sure that you refer to the pattern and that multiple stitch count requirement, and you should be good to go. During next week's joining method video, I'm going to walk you through how to align the panels, the varying stitch counts for a smooth, even finish. Just make sure that all 4 of your panels are the same size when you're done. Maybe block them to help, and then I'll show you how, even if you don't have the same stitch count, as long as you're on the same dimension, you'll be fine. All right, now that we've covered the prep, let's move on to the stitch demonstration so that you can see how this gorgeous texture comes to life.
The materials that I used for this section are Paintbox yarn, simply Aran, in the color Champaign White. You're going to need 2 of these. The exact amount of yarn that I used will be located in the description section and in the pattern. This is a size 4 weight yarn, right there. Great. The crochet hook that I am using is an H8 5mm crochet hook. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle for weaving in those ends, and a tape measure to help make sure you stay on track with your dimensions, so that way all of these panels will fit together. All right, go ahead and gather all your materials. I will put links in the description section below for you to help you out, and let's begin. For this textured stitch, the multiple stitch count requirement is a multiple of 2. So if you need to adjust the stitch count in any way, just make sure that the number of chains that you make can be divisible by 2. For this particular panel we are making, I'm going to start by chaining 128 chains. For row 1, we're just going to single crochet into the second chain from our crochet hook, and then we're going to make 1 single crochet stitch in every chain all the way across the row. You should end row 1 with a total of 127 stitches. Use those stitch markers if you need help to count, but please make sure you count just to make sure you're staying on track. Finishing up row 1, this is what you should be looking at. Oh, the beautiful single crochet stitch row. For row 2, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work. Single crochet into the very first stitch. Now for the textured stitch, we're going to be doing this kind of repeat. Start with a treble crochet stitch in the next stitch, and then single crochet in the following stitch. This is going to create that bump that we're looking for. Now the treble crochet, remember, you're going to yarn over 2 times before inserting your crochet hook into the stitch, and then you're going to keep yarning over and pulling through 2 loops until you're left with just the 1 loop on your crochet hook. Now the repeat pattern for row 2 is just treble crochet and then single crochet, and then treble crochet, and then single crochet. Repeat this pattern all the way across row 2. You're going to want to end with a single crochet stitch in the last stitch space. And like I said, ending with a single crochet stitch right there, beautiful. This is really gonna help keep the sides of our work straight. So if you are ending with 2 single crochet stitches, definitely go back and recheck those stitches. All right, for row 3, we're gonna start by chaining 1 and then turning our work. Row 3 is just a single crochet stitch row. We're gonna make 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch all the way across. This is a great opportunity for you to count your stitches to make sure you're staying on track. Again, you should have a total of 127 stitches at the end of row 3. At the end of row 3, you're gonna notice that there's definitely a very distinct right side and wrong side to this project. On one side, this project is gonna be completely flat, just like this, what you see here. On the other side of the project, you're gonna see all the texture. So that's gonna really identify if you're on a row 2 or row 3 repeat. You're always gonna chain 1 to turn your work for this project, starting with a single crochet stitch and then hopping right into that pattern of treble crochet, single crochet, treble crochet, single crochet. Really, you're just repeating row 2 and row 3 for the entire panel. We're going to repeat row 2 and row 3 for row 4 through the end of row 27. Now we want to make sure that we end on an odd number row, so that way we're ending on a row 3 repeat with that texture. It's going to be very, very important, okay? So go ahead and continue working this pattern, repeating row 2 and row 3. I will meet you at the end of row 27, where we're going to jump right into making the border. I hope you're loving this stitch. It's one of my favorites. And ending with a single crochet stitch. Awesome, beautiful, look at the sides, they're so straight. It's great. All right, so we've finished row 27. Go ahead and grab your scissors, cut a long enough tail for you to be able to weave in your ends and then tie off your work. Now, honestly, for me and this demo, I'm waiting to weave in my ends until everything is all complete. But if you want to weave in your ends right now before making the border, by all means, go for it. Grab color number 2, or the color you're gonna use for your border. I'm using that deep sea blue color. Makes the whole panel pop. I love it. We're gonna actually begin in the other corner. We're not going to turn our work. Don't turn your work. Just scoot everything over and slip stitch into the very first stitch in that upper corner. Okay, guys? We're doing this on purpose. I want to make sure that the single crochet stitches that we're making for the border, that the V stitches on the top are facing forward, and it's an aesthetic thing, really. After you slip stitch to attach the yarn to the project, we're going to chain 1, and that's essentially like our turning chain. Then make a single crochet stitch in the same stitch we just slip stitched into, and then make 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch all the way across the top of this panel. You should end with a total of 127 stitches. I will meet you in the next corner to show you how we're actually going to work the corner and start working the sides of the panel. Once you reach that last stitch or that corner stitch, we're actually gonna make 3 single crochet stitches into that stitch. The first single crochet is the last stitch for that side. The second single crochet is our turning stitch. And the third single crochet is going to be the first stitch on the next side of the project. Now, working on the sides of the projects are generally the part that get people most nervous. All we're going to do is make 1 single crochet stitch in the side of every row. There's 2 cheats that we can go off of here. 1, if you look at the side of the work, you'll see bumps. Each bump has 2 rows, a top row and a bottom row. So with every bump, you're gonna wanna make 2 single crochet stitches in the side of it. Another cheat is knowing we should have 27 single crochet stitches along the side of the panel. Remember, that also includes the 3rd stitch of the first corner and the 1st stitch of the next corner. All right, continue on, and I will meet you in the next corner. Once you get to that very last row or that next corner stitch, make your 3 single crochet stitches into that corner and then rotate your project. Now you're looking at the bottom of the work where you're seeing the foundation row. We do not want to make our stitches in the loop of the foundation row. It'll pull off of the work and it'll look really obvious. It'll have a really funky look to it. So we're going to want to actually place our single crochet stitches into the row 1 single crochet stitches from the bottom. So definitely look for those holes, those single crochets, and use those as your gauge. Also, keep track of your stitches. Remember, there should be a total of 127 stitches along this side. Continue on, and I will meet you in the next corner. You're doing great. We're almost done. In that last stitch or the next corner stitch, make your 3 single crochet stitches, and then we're now working along the other side of the panel. Just work this side of the panel the exact same way we worked the other side of the panel. Remember, we're just making 1 single crochet stitch on the side of every row. There should be a total of 27 rows, so a total of 27 stitches along the side. And again, the other cheat are those bumps. Every bump should have a top row and a bottom row. So there should be 2 stitches in the side of every bump. I hope one of those works for you. Either way, continue on and I'll meet you in the last corner for us to wrap everything up. Right, corner 4 is done slightly different than all the other corners because there's already a stitch in that, the very first stitch that we made to start the border. So when we get to this last stitch, we're just making 2 single crochet stitches and then slip stitching into the very top of that first single crochet stitch that we made, and that will close our border. Yay, we're done. Just grab your scissors, cut a long enough tail for you to weave in that end, tie off your work, and the last thing you have to do is just weave in all of your ends and you're done. Great job. I hope you love this panel. I hope you had so much fun with this stitch.
If you're enjoying this project, please be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that way you don't miss the next tutorial. Don't forget to check out Bonnie's video on her second panel and share your progress on social media. Tag us both so that way we can see your beautiful work. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey to honoring our veterans. Next week, I'm going to show you how to join all the panels together using the crab stitch method, and I will see you there. Bye, guys.